During the first free practice sessions at the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix, Ferrari demonstrated additional signs of progress following the introduction of two major technical upgrades, a significantly revised floor and a newly designed rear suspension package. These two substantial modifications have contributed to enhancing the overall performance and competitiveness of the Ferrari SF-25 single-seater car. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton appeared to be facing greater challenges in finding the ideal car setup. In order to improve his on-track performance and fine-tune the behavior of his car, he required direct comparisons with the telemetry data and performance information from his teammate. These insights were essential to achieve an optimal car balance. Additionally, further useful information was expected to arrive from the detailed data processing carried out through simulator sessions following the on-track running. Ferrari showed competitive race pace on Friday, close to McLaren, but the MCL39 cars still leads the field. The Italian team focused its Friday efforts on conducting race simulations using both the soft and medium tire compounds supplied by Pirelli. The lap times recorded by Ferrari were between 1 and 2/10 of a second slower than the averages posted by Australian driver Oscar Piastri, who was behind the wheel of the McLaren. From the garage, Ferrari engineers provided very specific driving instructions to Lewis Hamilton regarding his approach to corners 4 and 5 of the Hungaroring circuit. The 7-time Formula One world champion was advised to slightly compromise his entry into Turn 4 in order to extract more performance and better rotation through Turn 5. Monegasque driver Charles Leclerc managed to extract more consistent performance from the medium compound, particularly in the final phase of his long-run stint during the second free practice session. Both Lewis Hamilton and Andrea Kimi Antonelli encountered difficulties during the latter stages of their long-run simulations. According to a radio message from the British driver, the balance of his Ferrari-powered car became increasingly unstable and difficult to manage. This instability was primarily due to uneven thermal degradation between the front and rear tires. The soft compound tires fitted on the front axle provided better grip and suffered from less thermal degradation, which helped Lewis Hamilton in the initial laps of the stint. However, the rear soft tires experienced a rapid and significant increase in surface temperature. Additionally, the various traction zones, particularly those requiring simultaneous throttle application and steering input, contributed to higher surface abrasion and the tearing of rubber fragments from the tire tread due to mechanical stress. Charles Leclerc, in contrast, experienced more linear and consistent tire degradation throughout his stint. On average, the Monegasque Ferrari driver experienced a lap time drop-off of just under 2/10 of a second per lap, which is considered relatively manageable in race trim. In addition to benefiting from using a different compound compared to Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc adopted a more conservative approach at the beginning of his race simulation stint. His lap times can be clearly divided into two distinct phases: the first 3 laps of the simulation and the final 3 laps. The noticeable performance drop-off occurred shortly after his race engineer Riccardo Adami requested the activation of the so-called Mode X engine setting. This engine mode, referred to as Mode X, is understood to replicate a power unit mapping configuration that more closely resembles the settings used during the opening phase of a Formula One race, when cars are typically running with a heavy fuel load. Judging by the increase in lap times that followed its activation, this hybrid configuration appears to have been designed to help the Ferrari team collect valuable data representative of the early laps of a Grand Prix, when tire management and fuel efficiency are particularly critical. Meanwhile, the McLaren team continued to assert its dominance at the front of the field, leading the way in both qualifying simulations and in terms of race pace. Within the intra-team battle for supremacy and potential championship contention, British driver Lando Norris appeared to be further ahead in terms of weekend preparation and execution when compared to his Australian teammate Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris, who was the winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix last year in 2024, showed inconsistent lap times throughout his long-run simulation. Traffic encountered during his laps severely affected his rhythm and prevented him from unlocking the full performance potential of the MCL39. Despite this, analysis of the raw data indicates that the actual performance ceiling of the McLaren might be even higher than what was observed during Friday's free practice sessions. Throughout the first part of the 2025 Formula One season, the McLaren MCL39 has established itself as a reference point during almost every Grand Prix weekend. However, as with any Formula One car, certain circuits allow its strengths to be highlighted more clearly. Budapest is unfortunately one of those tracks. The layout of the Hungaroring seems tailor-made for the MCL39, to the extent that it feels like McLaren is racing in its own backyard. So, what exactly makes the McLaren car so competitive at the Hungaroring circuit? The answer is not limited to a single factor, especially in the case of such a well-rounded and complete car as the MCL39. Nevertheless, this specific layout brings out several characteristics that make the car especially effective, particularly in the slower, more technical corners. While other cars on the grid struggle with either understeer or oversteer, the McLaren consistently manages to maintain an excellent balance between the front and rear ends. We have already discussed how the MCL39 can be considered a universal car, one that is able to adapt to a wide range of circuit types and deliver solid performance across nearly all aspects of car behavior. Just 1 week earlier at Spa-Francorchamps, McLaren proved that it not only generates more aerodynamic downforce from the floor than its rivals, but it also knows how to exploit it better than anyone else. This was particularly evident during the second free practice session at the Hungarian Grand Prix, where Lando Norris was directly compared with Charles Leclerc. The British driver was consistently faster through every single corner, while the Monegasque Ferrari driver only managed to edge ahead in the straights, thanks in part to engine mapping settings, and partly due to Ferrari opting for a lower downforce rear wing compared to their competitors. Interestingly, on the first day of the Grand Prix weekend, the McLaren team opted for a higher downforce rear wing configuration. This choice came at the expense of top speed on the straights, but the team was confident it would more than make up for it through the corners. Furthermore, they anticipated being able to count on an increase in engine power during Saturday's qualifying session, which would help balance out the trade-off. Another key strength of the McLaren MCL39 lies in its mechanical setup. The Woking-based team has found a way to run a softer suspension setup compared to its rivals. This choice proves advantageous in multiple areas. It enhances grip in low-speed corners, improves traction on corner exit, and allows for smoother rides over curbs, all without compromising the stability of the aerodynamic platform in high-speed corners. This capability is what gives the MCL39 such a decisive edge at the Hungaroring, especially in the slower sections of the track where Ferrari continues to struggle with understeer and a lack of responsiveness from the front end, a problem that has appeared several times during the 2025 season. These issues are especially noticeable in corners like Turn 1, Turn 2, Turn 12, and Turn 13. In particular, the third sector of the lap exposes Ferrari's limitations, as the SF-25 cannot rely on long straights to make up for the time lost in tight corners. Unlike the first sector, where straights help balance the overall lap time. This theme recurs across other parts of the circuit as well, but it is in the twisty sections where McLaren's work over the past 2 seasons is most evident. Up until 2 years ago, these areas were among the team's greatest weaknesses. Now, in those very spots that require extreme front-end precision to rotate the car without losing rear stability, the MCL39 has become a class leader.